hitting the pause button on this recording so we can bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar, who is with us. Michael, thanks so much for being on. I can always count on you to see things from the defense perspective, even when it's difficult. And in this case, it does seem like the prosecution has overwhelming evidence against Kouri Richins. But I'm interested in what you think about that portion of this conversation. She is recording it, so she may be needing to sound a certain way. But she's talking freely with her husband's best friend, and she sounds like she is pushing for a cause of death. I'm just wondering if you're thinking, if she is the one who killed him, wouldn't she be ready for this medical examiner to say, sure, it's COVID. I heard him coughing. That's probably what it is. Let's put that down on the death certificate and keep it moving.
Yeah, the whole thing was completely bizarre because at the end of the day, she's clearly not singing for the cameras in the right way. Here's why I say that. She's completely stopped any approach that her attorneys would have that he was an unhealthy person or that he caused his own death. Maybe he did. Maybe he became unhealthy. Maybe he took substances. But at the end of the day, she's really drilling down that he was a very, very, very healthy person. Well, how do healthy people die, suddenly? Did they really, he would have had to really almost intentionally overdose himself or had his Moscow Mule spiked by somebody else. And the only person who had access to it was Kouri Richins. So at the end of the day, and the fact that this happened after he died and it was recorded, the whole thing just, she sounds like a complete moron to me. Based on the way you can see why the state wanted to prosecute her, because they really looked into this case and investigated it for years, and I could see what they were looking at, and they were rolling their eyes and saying, "There's no way she didn't do it."
All right, so the defense is also arguing that the family is who pushed for this prosecution. You are hearing that in this call, that she is feuding with the family and feels like they are railroading her. How do you think that's playing with this jury based on the call? Because we're getting to hear her voice.
Yeah, a lot of cussing based on the call. It looks to me like, listen, whenever somebody dies, their loved ones love them and they will blame somebody, and in this case they blamed her. So I think it's I don't know if that part of it for her is like the worst part, but his family clearly convinced the state to go after it, because the family, you could hear the family in the room with the state attorney. Hey, she did it. We have this piece of evidence. We have that piece of evidence. Families of victims drive investigations. People don't understand how deeply investigations are driven by the family of the deceased. And so at this point, it is looking like a battle between her and his family. The civil suits were because of his family, and so obviously the family hated and despised her, and they detested her. So it's just not a good look for her overall, and she just looks kind of like a liar to me.
Oh, yeah, that civil suit came up, and the judge had to remind the jury, even though she was calling them charges for assault, forgery, and conversion, those were the civil cases. Great commentary. Thanks so much, Michael. Stand by. We've got to get to that break. All right, inside of the courtroom, that's actually the end of what they show this jury. And they don't have any more questions for the witness on the stand, and the defense doesn't cross her. So before we get you to the next witness, let's quickly bring in Attorney Michael Jaafar, who is watching along as well. Michael, you had a really good question about who this recording helps and who it serves.
Yeah, I'm befuddled. This was a gamble by the state, because they allowed the defendant now to testify in front of the jury without being open to cross-examination, and she has drilled into the jury's mind that I didn't want anything, I didn't want any money, they could have everything, I don't know why they're coming after me. And by the way, he was very healthy, I loved him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all she had to do was flip one juror on reasonable doubt as to whether or not she intended to spike his Moscow Mule and kill him. All she had to do was jump one juror. And I think that these recordings helped her get at least 1 or 2 jurors on the fence as to whether or not she had a financial motive. So I think this was a risk by the state. It was a gamble by the state. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this was a gamble by them.
And it speaks volumes, perhaps, that the defense didn't cross this witness at all, so they were fine with how everything came out. Let's get to the next witness a few minutes before we have to go to another break.